Good evening, true believers, and welcome to another fantastic live stream episode of Chillin With Da Pool. I'm your host, the fabulous Pirate Master Deadpool Supreme, here to bring you a brand new Marvel book review. That's right, live from the pool lair of an undisclosed location. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? The book you see before you is from the Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows series. It's quite an underrated series in the grand collective of the Spider-Man mythos. If you haven't read my caption or are just tuning in, Renew Your Vows is a Spider-Man series that focuses on the wall-crawling web-slinger and his family, consisting of longtime love interest Mary Jane Watson and their daughter, Annie Mae Parker, as featured here on this cover. Now, Renew Your Vows is kind of like an Elseworlds story that was made possible by the 2015 Secret Wars, as made possible by Doctor Doom. If someone like Doctor Doom helps Spider-Man out, then you know none of the other heroes are basically going to do it. But anyway, Spider-Man, along with his family, had been fighting crime in this reality for the last 8 to 9 years. 9 years, starting all the way back in 2015. I gotta say, the artwork on those beginning issues was truly unmatched. I mean, seriously. I mean, just look at this cover now. It's not bad. Definitely could use some improvement, but it's pretty good so far. Anyway, let's take a look at what the series has to offer, shall we? As you can see, we have a few variant covers right over here. Also, if you want to take a look at the Renew Your Vows series for yourself, like I'm currently doing, check out these collected editions. You can find this one particularly on Amazon, Brawl in the Family, and this very rare one, the Venom Experiment. You know, I tried looking for it online on Amazon. It cost $79. What? That is just too crazy. I mean, $79 for a book, for a comic book? I don't care if it's the rarest one there is or features Venom. I mean, come on. $79. You're better off getting the Kindle edition for it, and believe me, it seems a lot... Huh? Just a sec, we'll be right back with these important messages. Yes, alright, I heard you. It is. I'll check now. Yep, all set and closed. I just sent Mom a text message. Just making sure that she's hoping that she's staying okay and dry. I heard a few cracks of lightning out there. Yeah, I can hear on the skylights and up here on the roof. Again, and we're back. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. There was just a way to check on them. There was a bit of a near power outage at my place, so sorry. So thank you again for tuning back with us after that brief commercial break. Anyway, as for the Renew Your Vows series, I highly recommend you check out some of these volumes right over here. But again, I've been trying to farm this particular one, the one you're looking at right now, for weeks, and it's like $79 on Amazon. Who the hell pays $79 for a comic book? It better be one really good story. Otherwise, it's not worth getting. As you can see, there are a few covers. This is what Annie Mae Parker looks like 8 years later, i.e., when she's 16. And everything. So yeah, whew. Yeah, it's definitely warm around here. Anyway, as you can see from the first page, we are introduced to this world's version of the Sinister Six. No different from any other variant. We have Electro, Doc Ock, Vulture, Kraven, Mysterio, and of course the Sandman. And who's going to be fighting them in this universe? Why, none other than Spiderling, aka Mirror. What if it's bad? Oh, it looks like we got a comment here. It said Michael Parada's What If It's Bad? Well, the artwork is actually, the story's not so bad. I mean, it's just following a different character. I mean, Spider-Man's clearly been pistol whipped into, horse whipped into what's that shit with it? Horse whipped into submission. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, since he's been horse whipped into submission, but I think the girls surprisingly stayed consistent throughout the rest of through their series tenure. Especially Mayday Parker, this one's older sister. In fact, she was that world's breakout character. In fact, she was like, she was Marvel's very first breakout character, just like this one here. And I think she's very under. Annie Mae Parker, what you see here, she's actually she's not bad. I read the first story, and she's just determined to make her way in the world. She still has a bit of her mother's redheaded spirit, although considering the art style, she does look, it's a bit of a reddish brown. But you never really know. Anyway, it's basically just Spider-Man and Annie Mae fighting and Spiderling fighting off the Sinister Six. But here's where the twist comes in. You think it's all over. Their backs against the wall. The Sinister Six are cornering them at every given turn. But wrong. It's actually revealed to be a danger training simulation by none other than Professor Logan Howlett himself, otherwise known as the Mad Bad Wolverine. If you may not know from the last few editions, I know that I don't really have them, but that Annie Mae actually registered as a summer school type situation at the Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters, and Wolverine happens to be one of the instructors. And apparently, this is where the funniest panel, you'll probably have seen it online, where you go to online or Pinterest or anything like that, but this is basically where Spider-Man just, really much tears into Wolverine, saying, yeah, the best there is at what you do, which seems to be collecting teenage sidekicks and throwing them at the monster of the week. Which is pretty much on track with, any other regular X-Men comics, so... But yeah, anyway, I bet you guys have seen a lot of this. Everyone has encountered something like this. Dad's driving in the car, teenage daughter or son is on the phone texting or whatever, and they're trying to do everything they can to start a conversation. And he finally says, "Oh look, the rhino's robbing that cute little cupcake shop you like." And then she's like, "Wait, where?" And he's like, "Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure that your phone wasn't eating your brain or anything." Yeah, as if phones can actually do that. Or can they? So basically, and since this takes place in this whole series, ironically, takes place in 2023, 2024, which is basically just reading it like it's taking place right this instant. And to think, this was actually written, and spoiler alert, this actually is written in 2016. And it was actually predicted 8 years ago from that point, too. So, can you believe that? I'm reading this in 2023, 2024, and it's like reading the current issue in present day. So it's like it's actually taking place somewhat in the real world. Because she's mentioning the new VR theme parks and in the meat packaging district, which is surprisingly what VR is taking over the mainstream media right now. So it's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna be skipping ahead forward and everything. So Peter, Annie, and MJ are all at this amusement park and everything. You know, the old school Coney Island. You know, the funnest amusement park ever, where Peter and his friends just actually hang out back in the 1960s and whatever. And now Annie, however, has actually spots a carnival game where she can try her luck. Now, if you've seen any of these old school carnival games, you know that most of them are rigged. I know because my friends and I were at one just the other night. Oh, looks like we got a new guest joining us on the blog. Hello, JR Vlog says hello, and thus I say hello back. Oh, good, thank you. And look, he also says he's subscribed. Well, thank you, JR Vlog. I very appreciate the subscriber, you subscribing. So thanks. Anyway, Annie May is just trying to do her best to take down these things. Now, if you've seen any of these other things, carnival games, you'll know that most of them are rigged. I know because my friends and I tried this at the Fun Days Arcade just a few nights ago. Everything, see? She hits the bottles, that one spins, and it stays right there. I don't know if it was rigged, or this one particular one was rigged, or the fact it's just like in bowling when you knock those pins down, save for that one pin. And if you guys are bowlers, you definitely know what I'm getting at. And everything. And man, with the way she's red in the face, her face is redder than her hair. She's pissed now. Then, of course, it's on. And, of course, it's another day at the park until the Lizard, a.k.a. the former Dr. Kirk Connors himself, attacks the place. And it seems as though... Sorry, I'm going to be skipping ahead a few pages. That despite his destructive rampage, he's actually attacking in self-defense because people were just getting in his way. And everything. But before we, get into that, MJ stops by at this world's version of Tony Stark's place. And unfortunately, Tony Stark really... the one thing that Tony Stark has in common with all the other versions of himself is they really do not understand, fixed income and everything. Family limited income. So it's like, yeah, that's the only thing that he would never understand. Not that he's a dick or anything, it's just... And if Jared Vlog says, is this Spider-Man story or something? Yes, what I'm going over is a Spider-Man story. It's taking place in the Renew Your Vows universe. It's basically what Spider-Man should be, but, doesn't suck like a current day edition does. So, yeah, anyway, MJ's just talking with Tony Stark, because, parent stuff and everything, just the usual stuff. And here, MJ is actually on patrol, and she comes across a band of thugs, but it turns out they're actually just teenagers just picking on each other. And it turns out, as soon as she arrives on the scene, all three of them, as you can tell here, are just crying, whining, and about to piss themselves. And then looking at your thought bubble says, why do I feel like the bully here? It's like, eh. And she's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. So she basically just frees them and agrees not to rat them out as long as they promise not to do it to each other ever again. And guess what? They end up calling her Spider Mom, which is actually pretty accurate, considering that MJ's a mother in this universe and that she's wearing the spinneret suit. By the way, I actually adore this version of MJ that with powers using homemade web shooters and or the symbiote and everything, to help or a combination of the two anyway. It kind of, as long as it's used sporadically, then it shows that it actually has some more weight to it. I mean, so, I don't know, regular MJ's okay and everything, don't get me wrong, she has more than enough personality and stuff to boost her character and development and everything up, but, as long as I don't really care if anyone does have powers or not. I mean, it kind of gets overplayed to a certain point, but as long as they're used sporadically, then it really doesn't matter. Then it's okay. And as you can see, MJ is helping her daughter try on new clothes and stuff for the school semester and everything. So it's pretty much just standard, typical teenage stuff. And considering that she actually is a fashion wear model and everything like that, it makes sense that excuse me, that she would have clothes and everything for her. Anyway, we get back to the lizard drama. As it turns out, Dr. Connors actually needs their help. He leads them. Hang on, we're gonna skip ahead a few pages and everything. To this particular one, and it turns out that throughout the many issues that Spider-Man and Spinneret, that's Mary J's superhero moniker, by the way, actually been talking to Spider-Ling like she's a child, which technically she is, but in more of a condescending parental sort of way. But throughout the whole time they're going down, quite literally down the rabbit hole and everything. He says, sometimes you'll be wrong, sometimes you'll swim straight into danger for no good reason at all, but she'll do it anyway because there's a smallest chance that someone needs help. And that's the responsibility you've accepted when you put on the mask. So you see, there's kind of more of this is like the great power comes great responsibility speech, but a more extended version. And for once, Annie Mae, aka Spiderling, actually feels very like a sense of accomplishment and pride with this one. So anyway, they jump into the fray with these circus folk, and as soon as Spiderling gets nicked, MJ's maternal senses go off, and she pries open the bars, and she literally goes in to start kicking ass. So just like any mother would go, they basically just go roll in, kick ass, and pretty much take shit over. So the Spider family helps to free all of the inmates, and thanks to the and Spiderling even thanks the Lizard for helping them out and everything and stuff. So yeah. So Lizard actually leads them to safety and everything. So in most universes, Dr. Connors was cured of the Lizard serum and had his arm mystically regrown years ago, at least in my headcanon, so it stops creating villains like the Lizard from being overused and, overrated and everything like that. And stuff. And as we can see in this panel, Peter is still arguing with J. Jonah Jameson about, pictures of Spider-Man, except this time it's more digitally, considering the newspaper in this day and age is starting to become a dying art form. It's a shame, but sadly, 'tis the state of the world we live in nowadays. Anyway, Glory, being a substitute for Betty Brant, actually helps Peter out by suggesting that Annie get subscribed to the newspaper and everything, and help show off the different stories. And of course, this one's pretty funny because Spider-Man and Annie are arguing because Peter actually got a job as a substitute photography teacher at her school, and while these two are busy butting heads, MJ just goes down and starts kicking ass and literally has no time for their crap whatsoever. She quashes them from both here and here. So for the next block over. So as you can see, MJ definitely knows how to stop an argument cold. And in the long story short. Basically, long story short, Annie runs into a couple of teenagers just trying to play mad scientists and give themselves superpowers. Basically, they're self-made mutants, in a way. Yep, this guy can apparently grow horns and spikes, just like Spike from the X-Men Evolution show. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. It is a great series, focuses heavily on character dynamic, and best version of Wolverine and Scott Summers, by the way, just saying. And apparently she can also shoot laser blasts. But little do they know that these two actually have a catch. Also, if you haven't noticed, Annie Mae's kind of also dressed up like Scott Summers from the 1962 version of the X-Men, but just that and stuff and all that sort of thing. But little does they know that she's actually Lacey. This is the character right here. Lacey is on a quest for revenge against none other than Norman Osborn Jr., aka the son of Harry Osborn and the grandson of Norman Osborn Sr., aka the original Green Goblin. Apparently, now, for those of you who are wondering, why would she want revenge against Normie Osborn? Surely he's innocent in all this, and usually you'd be right. Unfortunately, in her mind, the Osborn family, one Osborn is as good as another, because unfortunately, given the track record and very checkered past throughout most of the issues of the Spider-Man comics, yeah, you can see why she want to go on a quest for revenge. And everything. So yeah, I'll just skip ahead to a few flash forward a little bit over here. And stuff. So anyway, just a sec, folks. We'll be right. I have to go check on something right now, but we'll be right back after this commercial break. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. So now we're back from our commercial break. As you can see, Lacey here is on a quest for revenge against Normie Osborn Jr., aka actually just, well, son of Harry, the late Harry Osborn, who in this universe pretty much went nuts and was killed. It's a shame, really. I mean, in my headcanon, Harry Osborn would have never gone to the dark side. Yeah, he had a drug problem, don't get me wrong, but he wouldn't have turned against his friends just to follow in his dad's footsteps. After all, someone who's been suffering abuse like that would never turn into their abuser. They'd hate those guys, even more so than if they had turned against their own friends. Believe me, that nobody wants to do that. So it's pretty much so. As you can see, Annie's just taking to inadvertently supervising Lacey and the hell is his name? It's Lacey and Annie Parker. And everything. So. And I think whoever his face is. But yeah, anyway, Lacey's pretty much on a quest for revenge. So it's up to Annie and her new friend to try to talk her down from it. Even though Normie, and of course, when the spider parents get involved, all hell breaks loose. Believe me, everybody's been doing something like that. Believe me, you're gonna have to read more of the issue for yourself just to experience it. We catch up with Lacey cornering Normie Osborn in the parking garage, and of course it is tense. She looks like she's about to kill the kid. And after barely surviving the car impact and car crash and everything, he's nearly done for and stuff. But thankfully Annie and well, everything else, her friend basically just tries to talk her down from it. And he says, I'm not protecting him. And besides, he's clearly innocent in all this. He's just trying to protect her from going too far in revenge. She had lost her dad back when she was a kid. And everybody's like, but what about your mom? What about anyone else who actually cares about you? He's clearly innocent in all this. Everybody with half a brain knows that. He's actually trying to turn the Osborn legacy into... Even Normie said so himself. I know what my family was. What I almost was. I wish I could forget, but it's probably better that I don't. And I'm sorry for your friend. She's clearly been through enough. And everything. So so for further context, Normie and Annie have actually been close friends since she was 8, and he almost ended up turning into a version of his own grandfather and stuff like that. So if you want more information on that, just either look up on the Marvel Wiki or just go pick up the comic book at your local comic book store. And on that note, we come to the end of the issue. The art style is come to the end of the issue where Peter Parker is finally proud of his daughter for branching out. And this issue ends with Spiderling holding on to with her parents as kind of an homage to the original cover, that Spider-Man's most famous cover from Amazing Fantasy, where he debuted for the very first time. And then we get pictures of Mary Jane and her and Spinneret. I gotta say, the artwork here is to die for. Now then, time we talked about a little bit of the comic. The story, pretty much top-notch. These guys really know how to write for this. These people right here, Hauser, Roach, Stockman, and Redman, obviously know how to write for the characters and how to write for these guys. The character dynamics are on point. However, there is one flaw that I have to point out, and it's kind of a glaring one. The art style. It transitions from, let's see, I'll just pick out an issue with this. From this to this. It's like, these ones I pointed out it was like something out of the book Spidey, which is kind of centered in 2015 and everything, so it's, so the art style, the shift from one to another is kind of jarring, so I'm not really a fan of it. I mean, I wish that it would have just stayed, you know, consistent and everything. It's definitely jarring. So, and I personally, when it comes to this series, I prefer the art style that they had back in the 2015 one with the watercolor pastels and use of pastels and blending of skin tones to make it look light and airy and everything, like, you know, like fresh baked pastries coming out of the oven, so to speak. But yeah, the art style here is definitely kind of jarring, and the shadowing and textures a bit all over the place. So not really a good fan of the jarring art style, but hey, it's a good story. And on that note, we conclude with Renew Your Vows. So it's a very good story, and I highly recommend that you pick it up in your local comic book store, wherever comic books are sold. Anyway, then for those of you who reached the end of the video, I applaud you. You guys really are the best. And be sure, now before we close off, be sure to like and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell for more updates and shorts and live streams from this channel. Until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood pool guy, and reminding you to be cool, stay in school, and try to avoid any unnecessary drugs. Until then, peace out, homies.